We're on.
You're on. Did you want to put the title in?
Well, not until I check in with you.
Oh, okay.
Where are we at? What's going on? How are you?
How am I? I'm doing great today. Another good week.
You strung a couple together.
You talked about last week being coached on a topic, and I would say it's the same thing for me when we did when you coached me on using an alternate perspective. And I had a topic there about just containment and focusing on what's important to me and building that circle. It's been really serving me well to just notice, learning to say no to other things, but reminding myself this is what matters to me. This is who and what matters to me. I think that's really helped me settle.
Parallel tracks, as always. So yeah, I kind of feel like I've been saying yes to a lot of stuff, and I haven't been listening to what do I need. And I've felt like I've been pretty selfish for myself for a long time anyways. Like I pretty much do what I want to do when I want to do it. But I think of late I've fallen into the trap of Mark will relate to this. Everybody needs me like everywhere. So yeah, I think I've been saying yes to what everybody else needs. And I'm looking at my to-do list, and there's a lot of things on my to-do list that are requirements for others, not requirements for me. So I think I need to do some reprioritization so that I put some of my needs first before I expend all my energy on other people's things. It's like when you go through your inbox, like that's all requests from others to you. It's their need, not mine necessarily, but you're always like trying to get through it all to satisfy whatever's out there, but it's not necessarily what you have on your to-do list that you need to get done for your own personal needs or whatever. So good realization. Thank you for bringing up the parallel track. So I would think of that. So that's good. Right. So what are we here to talk about today? Recognition. It's personal. I'm curious where you take this because we haven't talked about it. And I mean, you gave me a topic like yesterday or the day before, and I just sat on it. And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't, nothing bubbled to the surface. So I'm curious to know what you mean by recognition. It's personal first.
Actually, I asked you if you had a topic, and then you said,
"Oh, that's what it was." Yeah, nothing came to the surface. That's it.
So yeah, as I was thinking this morning, this popped up as it often does. That well, if we don't have a podcast, that's not the end of the world. But this one really struck me this morning as I was, again this last week when you settle. And this is out of one of my chapters out of the Recovering Manager book that I've never written when I graduated 15 years ago. But it was a lesson. It was, again, a practice that really shifted me mid-career as a manager. And it started out with one day I was, talking to another manager on the phone, and we were kind of going over how there was just a lot going on in the organization and how much we were just frustrated and feeling overwhelmed. And then she says, Karen, I was at this seminar, and the guy put the picture of the world up on a PowerPoint and said, and he pointed to the dot, and he says, that's you on the earth. So really just helping calibrate, like not feeling the weight of the world on you, that you're one dot. And I remember feeling so much lighter after we talked. Okay, like I don't have to carry all this, and I'm not that important. I'm one dot. And so I was walking down to get myself a coffee. And I stopped at a desk at one of the staff, and I said, I got to share because this made me feel so good. So I told her the story about I'm just a dot, like it's the world, like, and she said, well, you're way more than that to me. I thought, uh-oh. She goes, Karen, you're more than a dot in my world. She says, the other day when you were walking by and I was talking to that client, and it was a really tough conversation, and you stopped and you stayed there until I finished that conversation. And when I hung up the phone, you said, how you doing? And you let me, talk about what had happened. And you gave me some, really good observations about how I handled myself with that call, and you thanked me for the job that I was doing for this particular client. And she said, you know what happened is it changed me. Instead of going home kind of tired and worn out, she said, I gave my husband a kiss on the cheek. I sat with the kids. I felt really good about my day. So just remember, you're more than a dot in my life. I went, oh man. I thought, that's so important to remember. Maybe I'm a dot on the earth, but showing up, recognizing somebody in the moment, taking that time to, stay there and honor that, even though I was rushing down to get a coffee or rush back to my emails. It just was such a big 2x4 on the side of my manager head.
Can you explain to me the difference between what happened when you felt like you were holding the weight of the world? The guy says, hey, you're just a dot, and then you felt relief, versus you're now somebody's world, and that dot is more significant than you said to her. Yeah.
It ties in, I think, to what I'm learning about myself in these times, especially with what we're doing and the work we're doing, is I feel so responsible. That didn't feel like I was responsible. It was, okay, this is something I want to do more of. I see it lightens me up, and I could see the impact it was having on others. Kind of similar to, what I was telling you about when I drew that circle of people. It made me realize that this is the stuff that's important, versus perhaps what I was carrying for responsibility when I was having the conversation with my colleague. Although that was important stuff, this was really important, that this personal touch, it really resonated with me, and I could see this is really important in the role that I play in the office and who I am as a person. So I could see right away that this is something I need to pay attention to and take time for.
And is that recognizing something in yourself or recognizing something in someone else?
It's noticing. So it just ties into, and if I could give an example of you and I, even just, I don't know, it was a text you sent a week and a half ago, and we were going back and forth on what we were doing, and you just said something like, I really appreciate you, Karen. Thanks for doing this. And it's that being seen, that and you do this quite naturally. And I would say that this isn't like a robotic thing. It just comes from an authentic place. Like, it wasn't like, okay, now I got to hammer out, I got to make sure I do this all the time. It was just making sure I know those moments. Like the day before, why did I stop? I couldn't even tell you why, because I'm rushing down usually this corridor, right? But there was something that stopped me to stay with her. Mm-hmm. That was the first thing. And so what I started to realize is that I need to notice this more and choose when I know it's important for me to stay, important for me to be part of that, versus did it serve me? I think it just continues to align me to how I want to show up and contribute and support others. So it felt very natural to me, and I wanted to nurture that more.
Yeah, I think we can often get in that rat racy kind of mentality of getting the things done, getting through the to-do list, whatever that takes, and it takes us away from that human connection and what is needed in the moment, whether it's for somebody else or for ourselves, because we have that list to accomplish. And I appreciate that slowing down a lot, because I get caught up in the everyday a great significant portion of my life. So and I recall the moment you're talking about, the text that I sent. I was rushing through my stuff. I think I was trying to get through a workout because I had something else I had to get done after that. And I think I saw you send something through about, what you had done. And I was like, I want to let you know that it means a lot to me, and it's very helpful. I do appreciate it. So at some point in time, sometimes I have the realization myself that I think somebody needs something also, but it was a genuine thought that I had, and I put it into text. Yeah, I appreciate that slowing down so much for this. And it's weird that you bring up recognition, because before I got even involved in coaching, it was going through going through kind of like a resolution and a healing of the breakup that I had with Julie before we got married. And I realized in the program that I took to help heal myself that recognition was the way that I felt loved. And I always sought that out, specifically from women, more so than men. But that was the way that I felt love, when my mom would notice that I had done something. So I've always gravitated towards that. And I don't know if because I'm so in tune with that being what I need or have needed. I need it less now, but I still need it. But I'm now, I give it more, because I think oftentimes we share the way that we want it, even if it's not the way that somebody else wants it. It becomes kind of like a default habit, and it lands for the people who it lands with, and that's great. But not everybody resonates with that.
No, I wonder though if it's, again, if it's done from that authentic place. I think we all want to be seen and recognized. How we get it is, in the way we need it is different for sure. But what I did after that, Ian, that was just like my light bulb moment, or I called it the 2x4. Was because, in the government and any job, the manager often gives you a performance review to talk, recognizing things that you've done, maybe areas you need to improve on. But what I started to do is take note, and I mean, like literally I took note. I created folders. And if I was in a meeting and someone spoke up that normally doesn't speak up, that they made an impact, I made note of it in their file all year and dated. And so I had a little script of, these moments throughout the year. So a couple things I would do. I would either do like an email, sometimes post email. We may walk to their desk a couple of days later, just saying, I want to just talk about the other day and thank them for what they did, because I know that wasn't an easy thing to do. I know it takes a lot to speak up in a meeting. Thank you for that. It really helped us out. And I just could see like the awe of appreciation coming from them. But when I did the performance reviews, because it wasn't, again, I didn't use this as a hammer. I weaved in these examples in the performance review. And they came in and they said, how did you remember that? So I said, I make note of things. So it became a real practice for me to make. I hated performance evaluations, only because I don't think I was alone. Like, as the manager, February, April, you had to have it done by March 31st, and you just crammed, right? Cut and paste. I think they even do that now.
I've been doing that the last couple of days. That's why I couldn't respond with a good topic, was because I was going through my PMA.
Okay. So yeah, it just made, in my opinion, the process easier, and it felt really real and authentic to them. So it became something I did, and I realized how valuable taking note of those moments throughout the year in different scenarios. Then the example was there, and I could just see in the feedback process that we were in how it really validated them in a lot of ways, because it was truly real versus, this employee, I know anybody out there that does performance evaluations, because you want to do a good job on it, but you're also often under pressure. This took all the pressure off of me.
Yeah.
But I left the government and I left being a manager many, many years ago. And I've realized that's why when I looked at it this morning, I thought, man, like I've been doing less of that and I want to do more of that. And so this morning, and there's one particular scenario that, I'm trying to work on connecting deeply with this person, but not overwhelming them. Because I realize I need to do more of that with them. So it's personal to me, was that I realized over time, people don't want you to stand up and thank them in front of a room. That's always nice. And getting an award is nice. And those formal recognitions, I'm not degrading them at all. I've had them. But those ones like, the one-offs, the quiet ones, that little touch, I don't know, to me, they just feel more, they hit my heart and my soul more.
I can relate to that quite a bit. And I think that's why if my kids do something, like I've asked them to do, like I ask them to do stuff a million times a day, and I don't always get what I want. But when they do the thing, I'll make a point of going to them like quietly and really tell them how much I appreciate the help, the support, and the work that they did. I think that means something. I don't know how it's landing with them necessarily, because they're not going, "Oh, Dad, this is great." But I'm hoping that they'll be able to absorb that for themselves. I know when I thank them in front of everybody else, I think it probably just kind of washes off or washes over them. But yeah, just taking the time, the thoughtful words, and let them know. So I've been trying to do that more often, especially when they are doing the stuff that I want them to do. I'm also hopeful, and I hadn't even thought of this. I'm hopeful that by showing them that I appreciate them, that they will continue to offer up that support. But I can't bank on that. I understand that it's not the job, but I have done that at work too. And I don't have employees per se, but I do work in a team, and the team, I do have to ask people to help me do things, or to do things, even though I'm not the boss. But I'll make sure that I speak to them privately and just give them a little pat on the back. Really appreciate the help and support. It was great work today. I did that with a girl a couple of weeks ago when we had like a medical emergency at the office, and she was really good with the individual who was in crisis. So I made sure to point that out to her when we were done, that she was like a big part of her coming out of it okay. So, I think that the personal touch is huge in this regard.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, it isn't necessarily only when it comes from a manager, that's one way, but peer to peer is also really powerful, because again, people do things and they often don't know how much it impacts someone. So when I at the curling club, when I was in the role, had taken over, the woman who was a predecessor couple before, very, very, doesn't say a whole lot of words. I'm not saying cold, but she's not a highly engaging person. She came up to me and she's stirring her hot chocolate one day, and she goes, "I just want you to know, I can't believe that you're doing such a great job here, Karen." I said, "Oh, there's no, really. I just want you to hear me. I know this job, you're doing a great job, and thank you." And I knew when she walked away, I thought, okay, that means a lot, because I didn't expect it from her, just her style of personality. But it was like, wow, like she is taking the time and, personally coming over and giving me that touch. And so I know when I've received it, it doesn't need to be this big, long narrative.
Display.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the difference between the show version of it and the real authentic version of it. And I think sometimes the show takes over. Let's say they're doing like awards of the year or whatever. I think that can become a little showy and becomes depersonalized because of that. And now it's a group of people and they're all like clapping and applauding you. But if you don't work with these people on a daily basis, like, what does it really mean? Is it more embarrassing than it is complimentary, I guess? I think also people like to be a part of something, and understanding how their part is impactful in the whole, in getting to the goal. I know when I'm not attached to the why, I don't have the same passion and want to help out, versus if I know the value of the thing that I'm producing serves in the grand scheme of things. So keeping people in the loop on the why something's being done, why it's important that we need this, and why you in particular are important to the process for it to go well.
Well, I do also think in these times, feel and think that it feels a little hopeless at times that you're making any change or any difference. And so taking that time to recognize contribution and effort and presence and grit in these times, I think is really, I guess I feel a pull, because there's so much where you can dip into nothing's going to change anything. I feel the desire to not only recognize that of others, but even of myself. Because I've been feeling a little, even though I'm saying I'm doing great, that times I'm feeling a little bit like, holy crowly moly. Like,
those are the only words you could find.
They're the only ones I would put on audio right now and on a YouTube video. But it's not easy. So it maybe that's why it's more. It came up today, is that I need to make sure I'm also recognizing for myself the journey, the efforts, the desires. I think we need to be more mindful. And so I am appreciative of seeing the comments out there where people are recognizing the effort and the desire and the leadership these days.
And I mean, change is incremental anyways. So to see change, it might seem hopeless in the moment, but I mean, if you want to build something, you need to go brick by brick for it to take place. And a lot of those changes oftentimes are unseen, but part of the process. And I know we're not talking about feedback specifically, but when it's given thoughtfully and fulsomely and with care, it adds to that change, and that potentially the drive of that person to want to change too. Go ahead.
Well, the only other thing I've learned too is sometimes I've been guilty of this, is sometimes I think they don't need it. They're solid. They're comforted. And so that was another learning for me in the last couple of years is they do. And when I took the time to acknowledge something there quietly, I could see their doubt was there. Okay, I was a little concerned that maybe I was being too aggressive, or that it was very interesting when I honored and recognized their effort and their contribution. It just felt like I should for some reason, where I truly thought they didn't need it. And I was surprised how they did really receive it and, quite frankly, needed to hear it.
Well, I think on a human level, we gloss over the things that we're really good at because they come naturally or easy to us. So you could tell me I'm great at helping out with the tech stuff, but for the most part, it comes pretty easy. So like I'm not thinking of it as being a lot of work necessarily, but you find it super like I know you appreciate it because it's supportive in the process that we're trying to do, whether it's on like the technical side of a podcast or a workshop or whatnot. But I enjoy being a part of that process and being able to do that work. But it is nice to be recognized sometimes if you stop and take the opportunity to allow some of that to come in. I was curious to know do you use like this kind of recognition in the coaching that you do?
Yeah, of course I do. Um, because it's a way for them to, if they've given me something, I often ask them to take a moment and recognize what they've accomplished there, or what they've, something that they've taken some change or shift around, so that they can fully, expand on it and land it. So 'cause often, telling somebody that's interesting that you're shifting this, it doesn't always come from me telling them. Sometimes they've said it, and I want them to make sure they really, really register what happened. So getting them to sit for a minute and just acknowledge, you look where you are, look what you accomplished. Just take a minute. How's that feel? So it's a great way for them to expand and maybe own, okay, yeah, I have made progress, or this did happen and I did manage to my way through it. So they can really register and recognize themselves. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I resonate with that concept completely, because telling people sometimes they won't hear it, and that's fine. Sometimes I think they need to hear it, and they'll let you know if they needed to hear it or not. But giving them an opportunity to have that little discovery on their own is can be quite revealing even to them. What I often notice is there's generally themes and conversations that I have with people. So I'll always be jotting down what I think are the themes, just to hold them, because I don't think they're always super aware of what's happening thematically. So when the time is right, I will bring some of that information back up. Like you said, like you're completely disorganized, and over the past few weeks, all we've been talking about is all of these things that you've organized and prepared and gotten through or whatever. Do you realize all of these things that you've accomplished? And then put it back in their court, and they're able to reflect and look and see and see where they've come from without having to have like thrown it in their face. You're just kind of laying it out for them, like, I see proof otherwise. What do you see when you hear all these things? Yeah, it's quite a helpful tool.
Well, I think you're nailing another thing that's helpful is the specificity of that. So it's concrete for them to see. So the last few days, I've been traveling with my sister. She's doing her kitchen, and we're just looking at different things. And the first day, her in her head, it was, I don't know what I'm on. But when I was observing her, she was very decisive. So the first day she took the stuff back, and of course I'm really being mindful of, this is her kitchen, this is her design. And so she left, and the next day I came in and she said, I don't like anything I picked. No, but it was great. And then I said to her, okay, this is awesome, because this was your first time doing it. So now you know what you don't like. And I said, and she keeps saying, well, I said, and she talked about being anxious. And I said, you know what, Ruth, when I'm with you and you get into the store, you are like totally knowing what you want. That's what I observe. You're pulling it down. So I said, you need to trust yourself more. And I said, you've never done this before. You did it day one. Now you're going to go back and do. So we went yesterday. And again, it was watching her, because in my mind, going, well, maybe she just needs to take a few different options in my head. No, she's very decisive when she's there. And so she took some home, and it was a total different look. And then she's back out today on her own. And you know what she said to me? I feel really confident now. So again, just recognizing, like giving to her, like, when I see you, your eyes are on stuff. So she said, oh yeah, they are. So now she's by herself. I got this, Karen. I'm at store number 3. I got more samples. I love that. But day one was, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing.
There's an interesting thing that happens when people are taking on a new project, something maybe they haven't done before. It's really messy. There's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of ideas, and sometimes you just got to let it out, see it in front of you. We go through this every time we do a new workshop. You go through a verbal diarrhea, which is amazing, gets lots of ideas, and then we sort through the ones that we want, and then we go with that. It's a part of the creative process. And I think people get a little stuck in thinking they have to have it figured out right away. It doesn't have to be that. It can be messy to start, and be okay with being messy to start before things start to line up and make sense and fit together and things like that. So yeah, recognition, it's personal. Final thought?
I'm just curious about how it's going to show now in my life, because I've brought it back up to my awareness, and I want to be able to acknowledge more. I'm getting tons of it this way because of some of the scenarios, and I realize it's important to me to make sure I touch those ones that are in my circle.
What's bringing up for me is asking people how they want to be recognized. Like, what is it for you? Because like I said, I like recognition in a certain way, but how do you want it? How do you want to see it? What kind of lights you up or like makes you feel fuzzy inside? And try to honor that in the process of recognizing others.
Cool.
Yeah, that's all I got for today. All right. Next week, got a special guest. Mark's gonna join us.
Mark Babineau.
Mayor Mark from out east.
Soon to be. Well, he is actually. He's interim right now.
That's right. Yeah, he's got to win to keep it. But yeah, so we'll have Mark Babineau on next week. And we'll be talking how this is serving him in his work. Cool. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.